We're drinking like a pirate on this show, and today we're finally doing something in that piratey way that has no rum in it at all. I know, that sounds surprising to you. Let's fly!
You've got the word of Long John Silver. Shipmates.
We're going to make a drink called Sangaree. Sangaree, if you're catching that in your ear, yes, it sounds like sangria because sangria, the thing comes from Sangaree. Sangaree is made with Madeira, which is a sweetened wine that comes from, I think it actually does come from Portugal, even though port comes from Portugal. I think Madeira, going off memory here, is like an island off the coast of Portugal. And I also think that Madeira, because I saw this in my research, but I didn't actually put it into my show notes because I'm an idiot, it was under British control, and they were only allowed to export Madeira to the West Indies for the use by the British. I think that's true. Not trying to make a habit out of this, but let me correct myself here. The island of Madeira is a Portuguese principality that is not really off the coast of Portugal. Actually, I would say it's off the coast of Africa. If it's off the coast of anywhere, it's kind of in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And what ended up happening is that British businessmen moved there and took over and cornered the entire Madeira wine trade. And so Madeira wine was a British export primarily for British consumption, but everywhere in the empire, but mainly the West Indies. Also, throughout the rest of this episode, it seems that I'm going to be using the terms Madeira and Sangaree totally interchangeably. Just roll with that. Just roll with that. That's what I do. By the British. I think that's true. I don't think that's a lie. I think that's true. What is true is that Madeira was incredibly popular and common in the Caribbean. So whenever I'm making one of these antiquarian recipes, I always want to know, well, what was the first iteration of it? Where does it first appear in print? When does it show up? And what did they say went into it then? Everything after that is some kind of an embellishment or a refinement, sure, but what is the root of Sangaree? The oldest mention of a Sangaree-like name for a wine punch that I or anyone has found so far is by Jean-Baptiste Labat in his book Nouveau Voyage aux Îles de l'Amérique, or New Voyage to the Islands of America, published in 1724. He reports that the English also drink much of it and are not more refined than the Spaniards. They have invented 2 or 3 kinds of spirits, the use and abuse of which have passed to our French, who are always very eager to imitate what they see bad in our neighbors of naughty English. The first is called Sangris, and consists of Madeira wine, which is put into a bowl of crystal or faience with sugar, lemon, and a little cinnamon and clove, plenty of nutmeg, and a crust of toasted or even somewhat burnt bread. When you think the spirit has taken on the flavor of the things you put in it, you pass it through a fine cloth. Nothing is more agreeable. The taste of lemon makes it seem refreshing, and those who invented it claim so. But you can easily tell by what is in its composition that it is very heating and that it gives a slight headache. My favorite thing about that is that he says, it's very bad. The French our good French boys are adopting those bad English habits. So bad. It's delicious. Here's a recipe for it. I find that super funny. It's like in Prohibition when they would sell bricks of dehydrated, like compressed grapes, and it had like instructions on, don't do this, because if you do this, it'll turn into wine. That would be bad. I don't know why I think that's funny. I know why I think that's funny. It's funny. That's why I think it's funny. I wrote that it is worth noting that Jean-Baptiste goes on to describe English punch a paragraph later, which in my mind makes Sangaree definitively distinct from punch. So historically, for Sangaree, we're talking about rainwater Madeira, cane syrup or demerara sugar, water, nutmeg, cinnamon, and clove. Typically no citrus. Although our guy, Jean-Baptiste did seem to enjoy a lemon or a lime in it from time to time. Which Madeira to use? There's a Madeira called rainwater Madeira, which is on the sweeter end of the spectrum. I find it pretty easy to drink, and I'm not a huge fan of bone dry wines, so it's not bone dry. It got that name rainwater some assumption about the way it was shipped over from Europe to the New World and water getting into it. So, I mean, like, it's probably the right stuff to do. Is it 100% accurate to the time and place? You know, have they changed how rainwater Madeira gets made? Yeah, of course. It's probably got way less like pollutants in it these days, honestly. It's probably much safer to drink. They were probably adding all kinds of weird heavy metal fining agents to it back in the day. This is a fresh bottle. I just bought this for use on the show. Now, here is a question I have, and I'm just thinking out loud right now. This is brand new. Ooh, it went down a little funny, but that is delicious. Not too sweet, not too dry. Raisin, chocolate. I don't know, I get some orange notes in there. Wine, delicious. That is good and fresh and not been exposed to air, so it's not oxidized. This is a bottle of rainwater Madeira, or fine rich Madeira from Sandeman, that I've had sitting around for a minute, and which has probably oxidized some. That might be more accurate to the time frame. I actually love that. It's very nutty, very rich. I think it's actually too rich. I think it's the wrong Madeira because it's not rainwater. Oh, and would pirates have drank this? Absolutely, pirates would have drank this. As I was saying, I was pointing out that there was Madeira all over the place. This would have been common booty. We would have taken ships and had all kinds of Madeira, and then if we had means, we would have mixed it into a Sangaree and enjoyed it on deck while singing songs after Yo Ho Ho and a bottle of rum. In fact, speaking of Yo Ho Ho and a bottle of rum, when you get online for Pirates of the Caribbean, you're gonna go past a big barrel, but it's a weird shaped barrel. If I'm not mistaken, that is the kind of barrel, a ton, that, I forget what they're called, a ton possibly, that you use for transporting port and Madeira across the ocean. So it's even in Disney World. Hey everybody, how have you been sleeping? Well, whatever your answer was, you're in luck, because this episode of HTD is sponsored by Helix. Helix makes very cool mattresses and bedding that are matched to your personal needs. It seems like 1 million years ago that I took the Helix sleep quiz and they paired me up with a Midnight Lux, and I still love it. It's great for sleeping on, jumping on, screwing on, standing on, dancing on. It's not great for driving on. Don't use it as a boat. You can't use it as a crash pad if you're a Hollywood stunt person. I haven't gotten mine to fly yet. I wouldn't cook on it, and as far as I know, it's not suitable for running an illegal underground gambling den on top of, but I haven't tried. All that aside, I think my favorite thing about it was not going to a mattress store to buy it. Mattress shopping might be my least favorite thing in the entire universe, so doing all my mattress shopping online was great. It's true, you don't get to try the mattress out in the store, but don't fret, because Helix has a 100-night sleep trial that lets you return or exchange that mattress anytime during the first 100 nights of owning it if it's not working out for you. And that's a much better mattress test out than a few minutes at a mini mall mattress shop while some dude with a cell phone holster tries to upsell you on undercoating or something. By the way, don't be a cell phone holster dude. Don't be that guy. The shipping is free and the mattress comes to you in a box, all rolled up. You cut it loose, let it breathe, and be off to sleep. Helix now makes kids' mattresses, and Meredith, who still makes the show with me, just got hers. She's very excited about the fact that it's flippable, it's stain-resistant, it's hypoallergenic. We asked her kid for comment, but she just said banana over and over and over again. So thank you again to Helix Sleep for sponsoring this here episode of HTD. You can visit helixsleep.com/howtodrink, and you're going to get access to their Labor Day exclusive. It's 27% off of site-wide. Back to the show. Whoop. So to make this, we're going to go with Jean-Baptiste's version. We are going to combine a bit of cinnamon stick, let's say 2 cloves, and I'm going to put these into a mortar and pestle and grind them into a powder real quick. Now, I'm going to add my Madeira. We're going to do 4 ounces. Put that right in there. We're going to grate in a goodly portion of nutmeg. These guys were nutmeg crazy. People of that time frame, boy, did they love nutmeg. Juice a half a lime. Sorry, juice of half a lemon. Although I have to say, linguistically, he may have meant lime, but that's okay. A lemon will be fine too. And more than likely, they would have used whichever was on hand, if they had either. My understanding is that Sangaree typically involved no citrus, and if he found any, it was pretty lucky for him. Okay, I want to filter this out, and a coffee filter would be overkill. A tea strainer will be underkill. It's just an idea I had. Cotton balls. I use these in chemistry stuff all the time. I'm just going to put like a couple cotton balls down here into the bottom of my tea strainer and go through those. That should actually work really well. Or at least reasonably well. It could have worked better. That's okay. It's not the worst idea. I've had worse ideas. It's not really getting forced through the cotton balls is the problem. Well, actually, yeah. Like, most of it got left behind. If I had done that a second time, we would have had a much more fine Sangaree. But I think we can live with what we got here. Probably at this point, we would add more nutmeg, but we put quite a bit in there. Let's, well, what the heck? What the heck? And there we have Sangaree. Of course, would pirates have actually drank this? When they could, yes. This would have been period appropriate, location appropriate, and certainly something that they would have had all of the ingredients for frequently. Cheers. Whew! That ratio, I need more rainwater Madeira in my Sangaree. That is a lot of spices. I'm surprised by how good of an infusion happened just now. I mean, it is loaded with clove. I'm adding 4 more ounces of my Madeira. That is just too intense. Also, a half an ounce of lime, or half a lime, juice of half a lemon was a lot. That's better. It's very nice. It is a spiced, mildly sweet wine. It has a lingering flavor that I think would have been so exciting to some poor sailor in the 1700s or late 1600s in the heat with very little other than, you know, like salted beef and pork. I guess fish, for sure. Hardtack, you know, whatever they get in port occasionally. You gotta remember, things were sparse. They didn't have grocery stores. This would have been an absolutely wildly exciting thing. And they may have even lengthened it further than this. This is pretty potent in its current form. Cinnamon, clove, lemon, it's very cool. I honestly, for my modern palate, I would like it sweeter. And in fact, it was supposed to get sugar. I forgot the sugar. That helps, that makes a lot of sense. I bet with sugar, this will be a bit better. Let's throw in a bit of sugar. That is my best estimation of a period appropriate sugar, which is turbinado plus a bit of blackstrap molasses, kind of stepping our sugar refinement process back one step in the refinement process of the later period. See if I can get that sugar to dissolve really quickly. That certainly balances it out a lot more. That's wonderful. It's very warming. I want it to be cold. That is the thing. If that was on ice, that would be incredible, but of course ice wasn't available. So that's what you got. There is, of course, a later version of Sangaree from the 1860s that shows up in David Wondrich's Imbibe, and this would have been made with ice. And I'm gonna find what page it's on right now. This is a really like bar Bible. I strongly encourage you to get a copy. I'll put the links in the places. Sangaree comes with the Spanish sangria. Pretty much gives us the origins of the drink, yada, yada. Yeah, well, let's make it. This is kind of a bonus drink. I do this sometimes on the show for patrons. A lot of times when I get to the end of an episode, I have an idea or two that I'm not done exploring. The show on YouTube ends, and then we go to Patreon and we pick it up from there. I gotta say, YouTube revenue, as of January 1, 2023, has been unlivable. I mean, it's been a struggle to keep this show going. This is not me complaining. I live a truly unbelievable, blessed life. This has been a gift. It's a miracle. But It is a full-time job, and it cannot be done in any way that isn't a full-time job for me and Meredith and others. That means there's no room for other work. So if this doesn't pay the bills, it doesn't exist. If you love the show and would like to see it continue, check out my Patreon. At my Patreon, you will get access to our private Discord. You will get access to bonus drinks like the one I'm about to make. This one is very simple, but often they're more interesting than this. You'll get access to behind-the-scenes content. You will get access to, well, the Discord is huge, actually. People love the Discord. We have great mods who organize monthly happy hours, twice a year now, Secret Santas, all kinds of fun things going on over there. I'm in there, they're in there, we're all together talking about everything, not just drinks, and actually, honestly, to my, personally, very much not drinks. And probably most importantly, you get access to the HTD app, which is an app that I made that if you are using the show as your own personal cocktail guide, makes the show much easier to use as your own personal cocktail guide. You can search drinks by name, tags, preparation method, the show or whatever that I adapted it from. You can save your favorite drinks. You can see every drink that I've ever made on the show, every episode of the show. All of that is there. If you are using the show as your personal cocktail guide, that's way better than searching YouTube while you're trying to make a drink. It's a nightmare. As a fan of the show, I'm asking you to go take a look at my Patreon and see if there's anything over there that would make it worth your while. And if there is, I will see you in the Discord. And if there's not, let me know in the comments what it would take. What is missing? What am I not thinking of that would be great for the fans? I would love to hear it, and I look forward to hearing from you. Now, let's make this Sangaree a la 1860. We're going to start with 4 ounces of Madeira. 2. 4. We're going to use a bit of sugar, and I think in this case I'm going to use a more modern sugar, not the sugar with the black strap in it, because it's now 1865. So certainly Turbinado is good. And Jerry Thomas says that is all. Should it be all? Should we add some other spices to this? A little cinnamon, a little nutmeg? No, let's leave it alone. We'll put the crushed ice on here, shake it up, serve it, and then top it with nutmeg, and I think probably mint. Give this a shake. No need to strain. Put that right into our glass. We're going to find some fresh nutmeg. Give that a grate. From my reading of the book, Jerry Thomas now would have probably built a bouquet of mint and covered this in fresh fruit and all kinds of things. And of course, when it's all said and done, you're gonna need a straw to drink it out of. When there's like a garnish, like a mint in your drink, I encourage you to use a straw that is of the appropriate length so that it's about where the mint is. That way your nose is in the mint and it becomes a part of the drink. And let's call that Sangaree, circa 1865. It's a delight. It is lovely cold, balanced sweetness, not overly sweet. In fact, a lot of my sugar has not even dissolved, so it's not really even part of the drink. The nutmeg is adding massively to the experience of this. It is what we taste is a combination of, or I should say flavor is a combination of what you taste with your mouth and what aromas hit your nose. They work together. That is how taste works. And you truly do only have those taste buds that you learned in grade school, right? They're not on that map, but salt, sweet, sour, bitter. Salt, sweet, sour, bitter. What's that last one? And that last one. Salt, sweet, sour, bitter. It's not umami, that's like a 6th one. All right, salt, sweet, sour, and bitter. Plus one that I can't, for some reason, think of right now. But like you combine those with aromas and that's where flavor comes from. That's why if you take like essence of strawberry or like strawberry components that have no sugar in them, you will say, that's weird. It kind of smells like strawberry. I get that distantly in the drink, but it doesn't taste like strawberry. When you put the sugar in there, all of a sudden it tastes like strawberry. And you can kind of see, I mean, I think what's interesting here is you can see, like we talk about the 1860s as being the golden age of cocktails. You can see this evolution. We have ice. We could have had syrup here, but we chose not to. We have fresh mint. We would use a straw. The drink is much more refined, much more cool, much more refreshing. The flavors are way more in proportion as opposed to this, which would have been, I mean, probably there were better versions than that. Not bad, actually. I kind of like that a lot, but it's much louder. The drinks of the 1860s, it's the golden age of cocktails because it is sort of the pinnacle of the art. It is when the art of cocktail is truly ascendant. And then from there, of course, wanes and returns numerous times over the years. There's a whole lot of talk about that. Guys, this was Drink Like a Pirate. I am thinking about doing like a larger pirate episode that would tie all this together and do kind of modernized versions of all of those drinks. Let me know if that's something you're interested in seeing. I think that'd be fun. There's a lot of pirate history, particularly about William Kidd. I didn't know until I started doing research for this, that blew my mind. And maybe we can get kind of deep into the weeds about that. Thank you for hanging out. To those of you who are supporters of my Patreon, thank you. None of this is possible without you. Here's to you. And I will see all of you next time on another HTD. Good night and good luck.